Men are marched out of prison camps. Then corpses float down the river. The marks of torture are easily visible on some. Their arms held tightly behind their backs. Evidence indicates the dead are Tigrayans. Witnesses on the ground say the bodies tell a dark story of mass detentions and mass executions across the border in Humera, a town in Ethiopia's Tigray region. At the end of June this year, the balance of power shifted suddenly as Tigrayan forces recaptured the regional capital, Mekelle, and the Ethiopian government began withdrawing troops from the region. The fighting continued, however. In mid-July, Tigrayan forces announced a new offensive to recapture areas taken by the Ethiopian government. We're told to look out for the bodies. In recent weeks, a community of Tigrayans living in the Sudanese town of Wad El Hilbuk, 65 kilometers downstream from Humera, has assumed the role of excavators and grave diggers for the bodies drifting down the river known in Sudan as the Sedet and in Ethiopia as the Tigris. It is arduous and distressing work. The stench from the bodies fills the air as they first extract each corpse from the riverbed and then dig new graves for them, before performing the burial rites. Gebra Christos, known as Jerry, is one of the community's leaders. He helps coordinate the grim task with a solemn determination. In total, the community estimates at least 60 bodies have been found so far. He explained how the group is certain the bodies are Tigrayans from Humera. According to Jerry, his community usually finds the exact number of bodies it has been told to expect. He said he remembered feeling paralyzed. I was so fearful, thinking that they would kill me and throw me too. In a statement issued by the U.S. public relations firm Mercury, the Ethiopian government said it was investigating the allegations. In light of several inconsistencies in the allegations, we are working with the relevant authorities to gather evidence and will prosecute any individuals found to have committed crimes to the fullest extent of the law, a spokesperson said. The government is keen to reiterate our desire to ensure a peaceful resolution to the conflict in Tigray and is actively working to secure a ceasefire. Everyone was sick for so many of the Tigrayans in Sudan. These bodies could have been people they knew. Many have fled from Humera and still have families there. I was playing around my house. Then they collected me and took me because I am Tigrayan, Temesgen recalled. We didn't do anything. They just collected me and detained me. Inside the warehouse, people were crammed together on the floor without rooms or partitions to create privacy, he said. They weren't providing us food, and we didn't even have access to the toilet, Jonas said. Some people were toileting inside the warehouse. For Temesgen, the real horror was the lack of medical assistance. Everyone was sick with flu and not getting medical help. They weren't sending us to hospital, he said. Temesgen and Jonas say they escaped while on a rare toilet break permitted by the guards and made the journey to Sudan. They both talked of multiple prison camps dotted around the city of Humera. Ethnic profiling Alam, whose name has also been changed for security reasons, is half Tigrayan but has a non-Tigrayan ID card and has been helping Tigrayans hide in his home in Humera while the arrests continue. Relatives abroad have urged him to flee, but he insists it's his duty to stay and help those who are targeted. Rahel, not her real name, is also Tigrayan but has a non-Tigrayan ID card and says she has been visiting friends and relatives in the prison camps despite the questions posed by guards. She is horrified by the conditions for those detained. They can't move. They are not getting enough sanitation, no food, no water, and no medicine. If they feel sick and die, no one cares. They are hungry and thirsty. How could they feel good thinking it's their turn the next day, knowing their friends were killed yesterday? The guards don't care about life, she said. Across the water in Sudan, Jonas recalled the disappearances from the Endiyatbarek warehouse. They weren't torturing us, but they were taking prisoners often at night, and they never came back, Jonas said. We don't know whether they killed them or not, but after they took them they never came back, and their families reported their disappearances. One man has been identified locally as Mekelle, a well-known barber in Humera. He had two nicknames, Taudet and Gundi Alam recalled. I knew Taudet very well when he was working in Humera, in that hairdressing shop. He was born and raised in Humera. Signs of torture. The fact all the bodies were in a similar state indicated they had been stored in a similar environment, possibly a storage facility or a mass grave, before being dumped into the river, the experts said. This state of preservation makes it easier to identify the marks on the bodies and what could have caused them, the experts said. Some of those found had their arms bound tightly behind their backs, in keeping with a torture technique called tabate. Several had their hands tied with small-gauge yellow electrical wire, and bone breakages and dislocations further indicate additional pressure was placed on their bodies before death. The experts say they are in a race against time to preserve evidence, in case it is needed for potential war crimes prosecutions in the future. They also confirmed the signs of torture apparent to the group in Sudan who've been collecting the corpses. While investigators in Sudan continue to examine the bodies, Tigrayans and those helping them in Humera face a daily struggle to remain free from arrest and abuse. And Tigrayans like Jerry, on the other side of the border, mourn and dig shallow graves for the bodies that drift downstream. Speaking by the first riverside grave he dug, marked with a makeshift wooden cross, Jerry said it pained him to be unable to give them a proper burial. To leave your people by the river, your sister, your brother, not laid properly to rest. When you see that, it hurts you, it hurts your heart, but what can you do? This is what we have been condemned to.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe